A wave of pro-Palestinian student protests spread across U.S. college campuses earlier this year. In many cases, encampments were erected, with protesters demanding school administrations divest from Israel. All of them were eventually removed, in many cases by use of force.
I do think that there's a responsibility of institutions not to militarize their response to their students. But all in all, there is a line in which one may cross where a protest can venture into being unlawful.
Last month, many students returning to their campuses for the new academic year faced a new set of rules, with several colleges nationwide banning tents and encampments. On the anniversary this month of the Hamas attack on Israel that sparked the war in Gaza, some students claimed the response to protesters was selective.
One group got shut down outside of we weren't allowed on campus, but on the same day a vigil was allowed to be held right next to Tommy Jordan. So I think that response really showed a lot.
And in one of the nation's largest public university systems, the University of California, blocking facilities, spaces, building entrances, paths, and roadways are now also forbidden. Historically, many student protests that had an impact on the decisions of their institutions or governments were somewhat disrupting in nature. Protests against the Vietnam War and apartheid in South Africa are all examples of that. But the latest rules imposed by the University of California significantly limit when, where, and how protests can be held. Allegations of anti-Semitism led to some university presidents testifying in Congress and forced some to even resign. A pressure, activists said, was aimed at suppressing the protests.
And we shouldn't be deciding what kind of speech is available or allowed for students, especially in a time where you're doing so much learning and growing. Students need to be able to fully express themselves and be who they are without fear of disproportionate punishment on our campuses.
Critics of the new regulations around protests also include some Jewish faculty members and students who say they fear that freedom of speech may be threatened, even at some of the world's most prestigious institutions. It is Tian Shan, CGTN, Los Angeles.